when you were going through the academy, there's always funny and stupid things that happen. Did you have any events like that, or you remember anybody else in your case? You don't have to name names, but
I do. One in particular, I thought I was seeing things. We had a recruit, I'll leave name, gender, all of it out, go up for qualification day, and he/she had a holsters on both hips, and he said/she said doesn't know if they are right or left-handed. And when I saw that, I said, okay, and I said, what did I get myself into?
can you put that person on the opposite end of the firing
That's
line?
what I said. I was like, you know what? Your boy's going to hang over here. Best of luck to you.
My gosh, did that person make it?
No comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's always funny things that go on.
Yeah, there is.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the next episode of Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. Thank you, folks, so much for coming back every week. Your support means more than you'll ever know. If you didn't come in and listen to me, who would I talk to? I talk to myself, but I don't pay myself very well, so that don't work out too well, does it? But it truly is an honor to have you coming back every week. As always, I've brought another stud on. I mean, look at this guy on the screen, man. You think he needs to go to the gym or what? Got to get fat there, isn't he? This guy makes me feel like an old man. Wait a minute. I am an old man. But seriously, this is an honor. We got an individual here who was a U.S. Army veteran. He's been a police officer now, still is, for 25 years. Extremely well known. You might even recognize that cute little mug he's got there if you've ever watched any of the cop shows on TV. And if you haven't, I'm sure you're going to go check him out now. We're going to talk about this in depth in a minute, but started out at Middlesex Borough in New Jersey for 4 years, small town police department, just like me. I started out at a 35-man department, but then he went to a bigger department, Howell Township, New Jersey, which is Monmouth County. Yep. And I got to tell you, you guys that have been listening for a while, you know that Javier and I were in Monmouth County back in December at the sheriff's office. And oh my gosh, that's probably the best organized organization I've ever seen in my life. Talk about something to be proud of, the sheriff up there. You guys got it rolling, brother.
Yeah.
So he's been there with 21 years now in Howell Township, currently a captain. He's in charge of the investigations division. He's the commander over that. I like this because as I was doing some research on him, this is the way he starts describing himself. And this is so important. It starts with father of four.
Yeah.
Nothing more important, is there?
That's it.
But then he goes into trainer, instructor, author, adjunct professor, keynote speaker, and you might have seen him on a show called On Patrol Live. He's one of the co-hosts on there, and I think he's now a full-time analyst on the show.
Yeah.
So everybody, join me in welcoming Tom Rizzo here. Tom, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. Listen, man, it's an absolute pleasure. You know, I feel like a little bit of, I don't know, I'm in shock that I'm sitting here right now.
Oh, man.
Well, listen, you say what you want, man, but there's something to be said about you and your background and what I love about policing. That's my passion, and it pales in comparison, obviously, to what you've done and what you're known to have done. So this pleasure is all mine, and it's a complete honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, my gosh. I want to send you a check or something now. Good Lord,
go ahead, man. That's fine. Anything with your name on it, I'll take. How's that?
I'll tell you what, I'll bounce that thing all the way up to New Jersey.
That's fine. It works for me.
Thank you for saying that. I was a cop for 38 years, and I've been retired since 13. And this show gives me an opportunity to continue to live vicariously through what the studs of today, studs and studettes, are doing. So, all right, we're over patting each other on the back here. We're good to go, right?
Yeah, that's it. Now get to it.
So you guys can tell already it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
This is one I'm so excited about because you saw the show that's been out with Randy Sutton.
Yep.
From the Wounded Blue, retired Vegas cop. Randy has a summit every year, and the Wounded Blue is a nonprofit he has that helps out law enforcement families, those in need. And you're looking at the keynote speaker for this year's summit.
Yeah,
it's September, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Something to be proud of.
Can't wait.
Okay, like we normally do, now we're going to go with our small town police blotter. I sent Tom an email just before the show started, before we started recording, and he didn't have time to open it. So we come on the screen here. I'm like, did you get that email I sent you? And he's like, no. So we opened it up, and he's immediately on board.
I'm looking at it looks awesome, of course.
It's called our small town police blotter. And, you know, we got pretty stupid criminals around the country and around the world, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But just before we get into the stories, I'm going to read you our little disclaimer. Now, this is a show about crime. We talk about bad people. We talk about bad people doing bad things to good people. We do take our stories very seriously, but we're never going to miss an opportunity to pick on some of those I'm trying to clean up my language. Pick on people who should have picked an other occupation other than being a criminal because they're not very good at it.
That's right.
So, Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you, and if you'll read us one from Jersey, brother.
Yeah, of course. Let's get to it.
All right.
So, in New Brunswick, a man allegedly brought his marijuana directly to the authorities when it was revealed during a metal detector check at the entrance to the Middlesex County Courthouse. That's in my backyard.
There you go.
As a quick succession of beeps was heard for his cell phone and other items carried by Mario Torres of Elizabeth, the questions persisted, including, do you have any drugs on your person? Kind of common sense to ask that, right? So what does Torres answer? Yes, of course. Why wouldn't I, right? Why wouldn't I bring it here?
Don't we all?
So he was then issued a summons for possession of marijuana. So here's a receipt of our conversation, I guess. Normally people like that will ask, can I have it back? So, but now listen, he's not the only one alleged to have done something like that. When DeAndre Beard of Newark was wanted on drug charges, of course, in Essex County. So it's their little correlation here. He took his duty to turn himself in at the Veterans Courthouse in Newark in October, authorities said. But when detectives searched Beard, they found 6 envelopes of heroin in his underwear, stamped none other than Ebola in red ink, authorities said. So what I find amazing about this is you already wanted on drug charges. So what do? I guess you up it, and instead of bringing marijuana, let's just up it to then a Schedule 1, and let's bring heroin there. So that makes sense, right? So we go from plant to powder in these stories, but it's all good. And, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't end with Richard Thompson, 32, of Stamford, Connecticut, who was facing marijuana charges in Fort Lee, which is up in North Jersey up here, showed up at the borough court with a backpack. And what else would be in the backpack for court? Well, it was packed with marijuana, police say. So seems to be we have a little, I don't know if it's whatever you want to call it here. Let's call it a pattern of behavior. They bring it right to us here. See, you think you had to go find your suspects. And up here where I work, they just bring it to us and they dare us to find it, I guess.
That's what we call low-hanging fruit, isn't it?
That's it, babe. Hey, listen, if they were smart, we'd go out of business, right?
But we know we have the best job security in the world.
That's a fact, Jack.
We never run out of clients.
No.
That's hilarious, man. It's just amazing what people do. What were they thinking?
But but you've experienced that, I'm sure. Remember in your days on the job, it's like how many times where we share that people wouldn't believe us if we just told them, right? When we say, yeah, the person consented to a search and it was loaded up. Well, why would somebody do that? Well, I have my theories on it, but I know you don't believe me, but I'm telling you it happens all the time, right?
It does. It does. In fact, on my Patreon channel, I've got a monthly section called You Can't Make This Crap Up.
Nope.
It's an hour's worth of stupid criminals.
Yeah.
I'm almost at the end of my 4th year with his show, and there's still no shortage of stories to tell.
No, never will be. And you know this. Same circus, different clowns.
That's exactly right. Now, everybody knows where Murph is, and we're heading back down to Florida because I think we've got more than our shares of idiots down here. This is a little bit older story, but it's still a great example of how crazy some of our residents in Florida here are. And it's not a Florida man story, but it starts out a Florida man was arrested, charged with assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill after allegedly, I hate that word, after throwing an alligator through a fast food chain's drive-through window. Only in Florida, right?
Only in Florida.
Joshua James, 24 years old, certainly old enough to know better, threw a 3.5-foot alligator through a Palm Beach County Wendy's window, according to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation officials. He was also charged with illegally possessing an alligator. But you don't have that charge in Jersey.
We don't. Nope.
And petty theft.
Yeah.
According to the police report, James drove his pickup truck to the window at about 1:20 a.m., which nothing good after midnight ever happens. When an employee handed James his drink, he tossed the alligator through the window and sped off. Now, luckily, no one was hurt, and a Florida wildlife officer captured the alligator. He released it back out in the wild. James was finally tracked down through the video surveillance and a purchase at a neighboring convenience store. What did I say about people that should find a different career, right?
I tell you what, man.
James admitted to throwing the alligator. James said he found the alligator on the side of the road and he put it in the truck. Well, hell.
Yeah. I mean, what else would you do with it? Yeah.
I always thought maybe get the heck away from it because it's a freaking alligator, but what do I know?
Yeah.
I've only been in Florida 3.5 years, so I'm still learning the ways.
Yeah, you got ways to go.
James faces a 3rd-degree felony charge for possessing the reptile. If convicted of that particular charge, he could face up to 5 years in prison.
People get let go for shooting folks, but all of a sudden you possess an alligator, you're looking at 5 years hard time. Okay?
You're going up the creek.
That's
In,
it.
in
Yeah.
James' court appearance, he was ordered to stay clear of all Wendy's restaurants, to avoid possessing animals aside from his mother's dog. He'll feed that to the alligator.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Now, here's the best part. He has to undergo a mental health test. That's probably appropriate.
No kidding.
And
Yeah.
he cannot possess any weapons. He's released on a $6,000 bond. What a moron. Just what the hell were you thinking?
But you know damn well, right? You're sitting there in a radio car and the call comes across your screen. Hey, respond over to Wendy's for a subject throwing an alligator through the window. You know, you'd look at it and go, yeah, all right. Yeah, okay.
And all the other units are going, I got to see this.
I got to go. Everybody's coming for that. Not for you, right? Yeah. Yeah. You
The cops are the same everywhere, brother.
That's it. That's a fact.
Even in other countries, they're still the same. So I just did an interview with a guy down in Australia. And I'm going to bring him on the show. I'll just go with Gary for his name right now because I don't have him lined up. But what do you say, 28 years, I believe, as a police officer, homicide investigator. And before we started recording on his show, we're telling war stories back and forth. And it sounds just like everything that you and I go through here in the United States. No difference.
I'm telling you, I think it's a DNA code. I swear to God. I do.
With very low numbers.
That's it. Yeah. Not high.
So if you're wondering how I met Tom here, somebody sent me his name, and honestly, whoever it was, I apologize because I can't remember. But when I don't know somebody, I looked him up, and then I saw who he is, and I thought, oh man, this has got to be a cool guy. But then because of Randy Sutton's summit in September, I happened to be doing Randy's interview at the time, and I saw this guy's going to be the keynote speaker this year. And one of the others is John Mattingly. If you remember, we had John on here, episode 79, back in January of 2023. John is the only police officer that got shot during the Louisville, Kentucky, Breonna Taylor raid.
Yeah.
And if you remember that interview, John told you there was absolutely no reason for her to be killed that night.
Nope.
It wasn't the fault of the police. It was the fault of her nasty boyfriend who walked free, and everybody cowered down in that community. At least the government officials and everybody in the state, except for the attorney general, accusing John of being a racist. And Tom, I don't mean to make this a show about John, but you know him.
No, I have nothing but love and respect for John.
Absolutely.
He's my guy.
That guy, I'd do anything in the world for him. He's come with us out to San Diego a couple times. Each year we go to the San Diego or Southern California Gang Conference, and he's come out and done his show out there, and just, love this guy to death. And here's what really ticked me off about the whole thing. Well, this is just one of the things, because there's a lot of things that ticked me off about that case, was that people continually call him a racist.
Of course.
Not knowing who his son-in-law is.
I know.
A black man.
I know.
A young man who started dating his daughter in high school. They got married. They have children. He's part of John's family.
And he loves him. He loves him.
Exactly. It just shows you, and our regular listeners hear me say this all the time, Tom, is when I tell you something, don't accept it as the truth. Go check me out.
Go check it out.
And when you hear something, especially on the news, don't believe it. Find out what the issue is. Go do your own research. And then we're all intelligent. We can decide for ourselves what's right and what's wrong.
Well, not only just that, how about you spend, I know this is crazy, right? But time is our most precious currency. How about you spend 5 minutes? That's all I'm asking. Everybody in this world, everybody in this planet has 5 minutes that they can set aside. Give me 5 minutes of your time and then go ahead and cast some type of opinion. I never say judgment, but then some type of opinion on me. Give me 5 minutes. And then if you leave that 5 minutes saying, okay, this guy's a jerk, this guy's a racist, this guy's this, no problem. At least you gave me my 5. Yep. And then I often say too, and John and I had this conversation, I'm known to say this, finish the sentence. So if you want to sit there and say Steve, Tom, John was a jerk, finish the sentence though. I might have been, but finish the damn sentence, because I might have been, maybe, just maybe, I might have been a jerk for that minute, but I might have been good a time or two as well.
Right. Absolutely. Man, this is going to be a good interview today.
Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah.
We're on the same wavelength, brother.
Oh, that's a fact.
Like grandpa and the young one's coming up.
You're not old, man. You're ripe.
Grasshopper.
You're ripe. You're not old. That's what I say.
I'm like fine wine, sour.
I'm getting there. I don't, my daughter says, you got to get all that white out of your face. I said, leave me alone. I said, I've earned that.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Well, do you still have hair?
Yeah. There's hair under there.
Yeah.
It's not as lush. I don't have a mullet or rocking like that anymore, but it's all good, man. I'll take the little bit that I have.
Did you have a mullet?
At one point, maybe I did. I don't know. At least there's a picture floating out there that there might have been a joke that I played with a wig on, and I pulled it off all night because it was my natural hair color, and everybody thought I was rocking a mullet. So,
oh, cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, when I was in Miami back in the late '80s, that was the style: short on the sides, long in the back.
Yeah, business up top, party in the back, babe.
That's it. And for our listeners, if you see me doing this a lot. I've got a sinus infection, so I apologize to start with. I will try and mute before I cough in your ear, and I really try not to do anything nasty on the screen here, but you might have to bear with me a little bit today. We might have to do a little editing. So, Tom, what we usually do here is to get started. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, what your family
Yep.
dynamics were, brothers, sisters, what mom and dad do, what you did in high school. I got a feeling you might have played football, but I don't know that yet. Just tell us about your life, how you got there.
Yeah, man. So grew up typical Italian middle class neighborhood in New York, and all I knew was blue collar. My father was a New York City bus driver. He took every civil service test there was because my mother was pregnant with my sister at the time, who was 2 years older than me. My grandfather was my idol. I'm his namesake, another Tom Rizzo. He was a patrolman. He actually did the backwards. He started in Port Authority, and then he became a patrolman in NYPD. So he did the
Wow.
backwards trajectory back then because NYPD was actually a better job. But I was the apple of his eye. I was his namesake. And so growing up, we did the typical migration. We moved from New York to New Jersey. It was in New Jersey that I started to grow up, got into sports. I had a great group of friends. There was a close clique of us that were playing high school ball together. And it looked like, I was going to go. So I went down to Florida, University of Central Florida. I wanted to try to, see what I could do on my own type of thing. And
Go Knights.
maybe give it a go at playing some sports. So really, my parents lied to me, and they kept it a secret. My dad was hard working, and my mother, was diagnosed with cancer. But they were lying to me on how serious it was at the time. It was,
Mhm.
it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. And I knew something was wrong because when I graduated high school, graduated with honors, top of my class, everything, my mother couldn't make it. And I was like, why is that? She's just got a stomach bug. But so I was ignorant to what was going on. But the truth of the matter was my parents didn't want to see me stop, whatever it was I aspired to do. So they were keeping it quite secret. But then when it got real and I had to find out the truth, I was down in Florida, and then, I was only on a very small scholarship. So behind their backs, I went over to a military station. I said, I saw them saying 100% tuition and you can send money home and all this good stuff. They asked me if I like sports and if I was into athletics. I said, sure. They said, well, we have this thing called the infantry. You'll love it. So I signed these papers, and next thing I know, I'm in, suited up to go to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I found out that, there's no women. They call it Sand Hill. I don't remember seeing the beach much, but so I did that route, and it's nothing I ever aspired to do. Not, and again, the military is close to my heart, but it was just something I was in a panic mode. I did it behind my parents' back, and I said I just want to be able to help. So
Wow.
the long of the short was, I had some mentors say, "Hey, listen, if this isn't what you're looking to do, it's very easy, man. You could do this as a reserve. You could do it as part time, and still." Do your college, do whatever it is that you aspire to do. I got to say, that's why I have such an admiration for the military vets out there. It's you talk about that family atmosphere and that
Mhm.
mentorship. So I was in this transition phase when stuff got real with my mother, and I tried to hurry up and expedite. I graduated college quickly. I found out a way to do that through an expedited route that I share with people all the time now. So I got back home real quick, and then next thing I know, I get a piece of paper. I'm getting activated to go to Operation Iraqi Freedom for 550 days. And
Wow.
it's where I always say my regret rucksack started. I signed up, said I was going to do something, and I missed the deployment with the blessing of my CO because
Mhm.
my mother took a downward spiral, and it was one of those things where I was going to get to see her off to the next dimension. I just have that regret because you always look back. I don't regret seeing my mother off, but I regret not being there with my unit. And so I missed my deployment. I never got a chance to redeploy. And then September 11th happened right after. And I knew what I was going to do. That was real simple. My father was there in Manhattan. We didn't see him for 2 days. We certainly thought he was dead. Literally, his route was right there. He was flushed down into the subway, and he hid out in the subway for several hours and then lost his contact with us. So we thought he was dead. But up here in the Northeast, everybody's got a connection to 9/11, so that for
Yeah.
me was easy. It was boom, let's go. First department I walked into, I did a test on the same day for two municipal departments. I got hired by both. I just took the first phone call, and I was off to the races.
So I want to back up just a little bit. So what's this secret about college that you were talking about? I'm sure
Yeah,
people are
so
wondering.
Well, I was in again a panic mode where I had to hurry up and get done because I wanted to get back home and at least have that. My mother was getting a lot of home care. She was
Yeah.
real ill. So I found out this thing called CLEP tests, and I
Oh
walked in.
yeah.
You pay $75, and they told me, they said, Tom, I don't like to admit this to a lot of people, but I'm kind of a nerd. So they were like, look, you don't even know anything about the subject, and you got to get a certain score to get the credit for the test. All right, give me the test. I got a whole semester worth of credit like that, and then I got a whole semester worth of credit for my military service. So I was
Wow.
able to hurry up and expedite and get my degree on a fast track and get home. And then I went back to grad school as a police officer later on to get my
Hmm.
graduate degree because I'm an adjunct college professor years later. But that's part of my career stuff. But yeah, so I shared that with everybody.
Cool. I remember hearing that, and I just didn't think I was ever smart enough to clip anything.
Yeah, so
Sometimes you surprise yourself though, and that's I'm like a beginning of the testament of Tom Rizzo, is that you didn't limit yourself. You were ready to take a chance at that time and let's just hey see what happens. What's the worst going to happen? I fail.
yeah, that's the thing I often talk about. I never want to be a victim of the shoulda, woulda, coulda. So I believe in taking that shot and being audacious, not reckless, but being audacious. And I just don't want to have those regrets.
Yep.
There's a
And that
few of them I
was
have in my rucksack, but I'm not going to have one for not taking chances.
yeah. No, we all have those. Unfortunately, and hindsight things always 2020, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who said the Army doesn't have a heart? If your CO authorized you to stay
Oh, yeah.
back, I mean that's very admirable of him, and that's during wartime.
I tell you what, when I have the ability to compare both, as do a lot of other vets who did some military service and some type of first responder service, and the just again, just the treatment, everything like that. I'm sure everybody has their purview and their perspective on it, but the way I was treated and as a young kid, they didn't owe me anything. I was a number, and they just needed more numbers to go over to Iraq. I mean, that's what it was.
Hmm.
But the understanding and the compassion and the consideration I received, I'll never forget.
Love hearing that. What was your MOS in the Army?
Yeah, so 11 Bravo, just a regular grunt, and then 11 Hotel for tow guided missiles.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Did you like that?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah, I mean, what's not to like? And I was a 60 gunner too, so I had that big pig. And if you could believe it or not, sometimes my tongue got me in trouble. So I was known for carrying.
Nah.
Instead of having somebody carry ammo for me, I had to carry the ammo, the gun, the ruck. So I may have gotten a hernia or two because my
Oh,
mouth
wow.
landed me in that position, and I learned the hard way. Let's just say I learned how to understand. So when
Yeah,
people made
understood.
fun of my name and said, "Oh, you're Rizzo from Grease," or Rizzo the Rat from the Muppets, and Frank Rizzo from the Jerky Boys, I got all of it. And I would scoff back as a punk 18-year-old. I learned real quick who's in charge and who's not. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What stories? I love it. Did you play high school football?
No, sir. Basketball, baseball.
But you got a small scholarship to go to UCF to play
Yes,
football?
I was able, and again, a lot of small schools. I knew that it wasn't going to ever put food on my plate. It's just I
Right.
was very passionate about it. So again, a childish way to think, but I never regret the fact that I took the chance instead of staying locally and playing small ball. I
Hmm.
never regret taking a chance because what it ended up doing, despite my circumstances, going 1,100 miles from home, I had no choice but to grow up. On the college experience in one
Hmm.
perspective, and then in the military world, that's it, right? Mama can't come and help you now. So, yes, I have no regrets for that as well.
Yeah, UCF's not a little college anymore.
No, sir.
We had the honor and the pleasure to go. So I grew up in Tennessee and West Virginia, and
Yeah.
we're big West Virginia University fans.
Yeah.
Then when UCF and WVU joined the Big 12 for the first time ever 2 years ago, they played football at the stadium at UCF.
Yeah.
And we live in Orlando. So I was the keynote speaker for the Orlando Police annual Blue Line Gala.
Yeah.
And the president of the Orlando Police Foundation, he owns a mortgage company, and the name of his company is on the football stadium at UCF.
Yeah. So,
And I let it be known that I'd like to go to that football game. And he called me. He said, "You want to sit in the box or you want to sit on the 50-yard line?" I said, "It's Florida. It's hot. I want to sit in the box."
uh,
And he did. Joe Nunziato is his name. Big shout out to Joe. Just a
yeah.
fantastic man. What he does for Orlando Police, for
Yep.
Orange County SO, Osceola County, and Seminole County, they're all benefit from what the Orlando Police
Yeah.
Foundation does. And
100%.
that year, not to get off on a tangent, but that year there were two police officers, a male-female partnership, had been shot in the line of duty several months earlier, going
Yep.
after a guy that didn't know he was wanted for murder. So when he came out of the car, he just came out shooting. And they were both recuperating. And so got to meet them in person. Just, I still get goosebumps talking about it because it's an honor to meet people men and women who are brave enough to put a uniform on and go out there and protect all the rest of us.
Coming from you, yeah, okay.
Well, I had my time, but you know as well as I do, a lot of the people you don't know, they don't know you, and a lot of them hate you.
That's a fact.
But we don't discriminate. We try and protect everybody. So,
Yeah,
and I'm sure I'm going to get some blowback on that. Hey, send it my way.
that's it.
I got big shoulders. I'm okay with it. So let's see. You're okay. Did you go in the reserves or did you go in the guard?
No, so I stayed. It was the Army National Guard, so I had the
Yeah.
choice. You could kind of choose whichever route you wanted. So that's the way I continued my service was through the Guard. So I was in a Florida unit, and then I came back up here into Jersey.
How many years did you do in the guard? Or
6.
total
Yeah,
military?
6. Yeah,
Yeah. I've got, well, it's actually my wife's nephew. It's my wife's niece husband, but still family. He is the command sergeant major for the West Virginia National Guard.
yeah,
So proud of that guy. He's just a stud. He's like you, man. He's a stud. He's a can-do kind of guy. He was in Iraq, I think, 3 times.
yeah. I bet.
He wasn't in the back. He was out
No,
leading ops.
yeah,
Yeah, you just have the ultimate respect for people like that, like you. You
yeah.
served your
I
country.
didn't know. I mean, there's a clear line between myself and those folks. That's what I mean. So they have my forever and eternal respect and love and admiration because, like I said, I say that all the time. To be able to go to some foreign place and to lock in and be the consummate professionals that they
Yeah,
are and operate under away games all the time, think of it
yeah.
that way. That's what I say. They have nothing but love and respect out of me.
Same here. Same here. And for anybody that's listening to this that doesn't have that same love and respect, this is probably the wrong podcast for you to be listening to. I bring on military studs on here as well as law enforcement, first responders, and their stories break your heart. A lot of them were just like Tom here. We're military first and then law enforcement second. You remember Mike Denton we had on here from OPD got blown up in an unbelievable battle in Afghanistan and comes over and he's an Orlando cop and he's gotten all kinds of commendations for saving lives here. This guy's just, he's all about taking care of his fellow man, but he does take care of his family too. I think they have 3 kids and they've adopted 2 now or something like that. Just
Oh, wow.
utmost respect for these people. God, I know I'm getting on tangents here, but hey, it's my show. We can do that, right?
Yeah.
So when you go back, you graduate UCF,
Yeah.
you go back to Jersey, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then you get transferred into the guard up there.
Yep. And it was easy. September 11th happened, and that's where it was right into policing because a trunk monkey could have been hired back then. I was nothing special, and I was young, eager, as green as they come. 21 years old. Let's go. Let's do it. And I was fortunate because timing is everything. In a career of
Yeah.
policing, timing's everything. So I was very fortunate. I took the first call that came. I'd never even stepped foot in the town that I got hired by. And I told them that. They said, "What do you know about this borough?" I said, "This is the police department." I said, "I know nothing."
Yeah.
But it was a 35, 36 man department at the time. Had one state highway because I always wanted to do interdiction. That was my thing. So I said, all right, it's small, but I'll see what I could do here. So I started making a name for myself there. And then I saw the opportunity to go to Howell, which is over a 100-man department. They have interstate. They have several state highways, a lot bigger in terms of square miles. So I knew this is where I could really get into it and really start diving into what my passion was. So that was my trajectory.
Excellent. When did you decide to get your master's? After you're a cop or before?
No, after. So, yeah, it was when I first promoted to sergeant. And I always had a passion for teaching. So I was doing a lot of instruction in the police department, in the academy, just local stuff. But I just had a passion for teaching. And then I wanted to do something outside. I didn't want to do just the search and seizures, the typical police stuff. So I said, wouldn't it be kind of neat if I could get into these minds and the perspectives of these college kids that are then coming out and
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe, we could have some. So I never told them what I did for a living. I always told them at the end of the semester, but I did everything else. But I didn't do criminal justice. I've done human resource management. I've done all sorts of leadership classes. So I got my master's, and then I was just hustling right out of the gate to become an adjunct, and I've been doing that now, for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your master's? Because it's a pretty prestigious school.
I did Seton Hall University up
Yeah.
here, and yeah, I've been an adjunct for Rutgers, for New Jersey City University, Fairleigh Dickinson, and I've been a guest speaker at several universities as well.
Yeah. I don't have my master's. I just got my bachelor's, but I
Yeah.
have a keynote. We being my old DEA partner, Javier Pena, and just last week got to spend an hour and a half virtually with a class at Marshall University in Huntington, West
Oh,
Virginia.
cool.
It just sounds corny when you say this, but I told them, I said, this does sound corny what I'm getting ready to say, but why am I spending time with you? Well, there's a TV show out there that just really got blown out of proportion on one investigation I worked, but it's given me a platform. You guys are our future, you
Yeah.
young people.
Yeah.
So if we're not willing to take the time to, I don't know if it's imparting wisdom or just telling them about the mistakes that we made so they don't make the same ones, or
Hey, whatever, man. It's something, right? It's having that impact.
it's worth taking the time.
Yeah, sure.
And people say I'm doing it for money. I don't get paid for that.
Nope.
It's just, they're just doing the right thing. You're paying it forward. So, and then
Yep.
I know what you're doing is unbelievable. What position? I forgot to ask you. What position did you play at UCF?
So I didn't. I never got a chance to play when I
Oh,
got down there. Yeah. So that's what it was like. That was supposed to be the trajectory. As soon as I got down there, it got real where now all of a sudden the truth was coming to the surface of what home looked like. So
God.
I was this close to dropping out of UCF. And that's when my father said, absolutely not. I had a quick trip home. We had a candid conversation. And my parents were honest with me that my mother was terminal. And it was my first real hard life lesson as to this is sometimes the hand that you're dealt. But as a parent, you'll understand one day, which now, like you said before, father of four, I do get this. Nothing comes anything closer to number one in your heart than your children's. They didn't want me to pause what I was doing, but I just yielded a little bit and I decided to stay down south. But I just knew, all right, let me hurry up and change gears. Let me just get this done real quick and get back home.
You take your first police test, you get picked.
Yeah.
So you said Middlesex Borough, and who was the
Yeah.
other agency that you had an opportunity with?
Yeah, Highland Park. Ironically, that's like the story that I read jumping off here. They're both Middlesex County departments, similar size departments, size, demographic, area. So again, it was just one, two, three, let's go. Where I'm working now in Howell, it was where I wanted to originally be. I had family down here because it was, like I said, it was larger. That's what I wanted, but they weren't testing at the time. So I just took the first opportunity I could.
Yeah. You spent 4 years there. Did you get to do any interdiction there?
Just what I wanted to do as far as day to day as best you can in patrol. So
Yeah.
had a couple good pops, but nothing that was anything crazy. But again, limited as to what you could do in such a small jurisdiction.
Right.
Not a lot of opportunities to go on task force or go do some type of co-ops or work with other agencies. So did what I could, and I have no regrets. I got a lot of experience being so small. You have the autonomy that you have
Hmm.
to learn kind of quick because you don't really have that overbearing support just because of logistics. So it was cool. I liked almost being my own boss for a bit.
Yeah, and it teaches you how to deal with people, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah,
Have
certainly
you ever
does.
had anybody lie to you?
Yeah, once or twice. Yeah, once or twice.
That's what it teaches you. Everybody lies when they're in trouble.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know how you were, but if I pulled a DUI over, how many beers when you pull a DUI over do they tell you they had? It's the same back in the
Yeah,
70s.
yeah, of course.
It's never changed. I'm thinking, boy, this must have been some really big beers.
Yeah,
If they ever told me the truth, and this was back when the street officer had some discretion to decide how to handle the situation. If they ever told me the truth, like I believe I had two 12 packs and
that's
a
it.
half
Yeah,
a bottle of Jack Daniels or whatever,
yeah.
I would do my best to call somebody to come and get them. I still towed their car, so they're going to have to
Of
pay a tow
course.
fee,
Yeah, yeah,
but we'd get them home.
yeah,
But it was so rare.
yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
happen very often. When you joined the police department, how do you handle police academy training up there? Is there a state academy or?
No, so there's several throughout the state. So the state police have theirs, of course, but when you're a local or a county police officer, you have every county in New Jersey has almost every county. I shouldn't say everyone, but there's several throughout the state that are jurisdictionally, like geographically located, so that jurisdictions have equal access. So I got sent up to mine, and again, I couldn't let it go as far as the alpha. So I was the platoon leader right out of the gate. I was like, let's do this. So here I am, a 21-year-old punk, but I'm the platoon leader for the class. I finished top of my class. So I set those standards where I said, if there's something I'm going to do, I want to do it to the best of my ability. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm a very prideful person. And I knew that one day, and now I find myself here, that I never thought I'd have four, but I'd have other human beings that look to me as an example. And that's very important to me. And now to have any type of stage in terms of whether behind the lens of a camera or in front of an audience, I just want to give people something to be proud of. I embrace my vulnerability and I openly talk about my mistakes and my trials and my
Yeah.
tribulations, but I love having the opportunity to have people see a different side of us more than what they always think, let's say, right?
I've got four kids also. The one thing as they got older, you try to teach them is be a leader. Choose to be a leader, not a
Yeah.
follower.
Yeah.
And now I've got five granddaughters, no
God
grandsons, but
bless you.
five
Yeah.
granddaughters.
Yeah. God
And
bless you.
I'm trying to prove to them what the importance of that statement is,
Yeah.
because there's too many people waiting to be led by the nose around here.
Oh, that's a fact.
But that's fantastic that you did that at such a young age. How long was your academy?
So up here, it varies, but give or take 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to spend the nights there or you went home?
No, no. So they have those, but my particular one, which is the most common way up here, is Monday through Friday.
Yeah. And no PT, right?
Yeah, but I tell you what, and listen, I used to talk about getting stones thrown at you. Let's just say I'm very glad that I earned my stripes with the military, because if the PT that the police academy gave me was the only bar that I had to judge on my physical capabilities, I wouldn't be impressed.
Well, come on over to the DEA Academy. There's some tough.
Okay, yeah, that is it.
I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have a problem there.
No, it's all good. Oh, listen, I was humbled. I went down to Louisiana State Police Academy and I taught there. And me, like an idiot, I said, "Oh, let me, think outside the box. Let me hook up with the recruits in the morning. I'll do PT with them, and then I'll teach the class later in the day." Yeah, I got humbled.
I went back up to the DEA Academy once, and the PT instructor was a buddy of mine. We took our first police test together in West
Yeah,
Virginia
yeah,
back in the mid '70s. Now he's doing PT at the academy, and he said, "Well, why don't you come down and we call them basic agent trainees or bats."
yeah.
He said, "Why don't you come out and work out with the bats in the morning?" Sure. Man, the next day I couldn't hardly get out of bed. Everything
Ugh,
I had
ugh.
hurt. Oh my gosh, I'm too old for this crap. But when you were going through the academy, there's always funny and stupid things that happen. Did you have any events like that, or you remember anybody else? You don't have to name names, but
I do. One in particular, I thought I was seeing things. We had a recruit, I'll leave name, gender, all of it out, show up for qualification day, and he/she had holsters on both hips. He/she said doesn't know if they are right or left-handed. And when I saw that, I said, "Okay." And
oh,
and I said, "What did I get myself into?"
can you put that person on the opposite end of the firing
That's what
line?
I said. I was like, "You know what? Your boy's gonna hang over here. Best of luck to you."
My gosh, did that person make it?
No comment.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's always funny things that go on in the
yeah, there
academy.
is.
Yeah, at DEA, they make you write memos,
Yeah,
and it's usually for little BS infractions. But what they're really trying to do is teach you to write the
of
DEA way,
course,
because you
of
always write
course.
third person,
Yeah, well,
and nobody does that. Did you ever work with a DEA task force?
I wasn't on it, but we worked alongside. Yes, sir.
Did you have to do any of those DEA sixes?
I didn't, but I
God
saw them.
bless you.
So yeah, yeah.
That's writing in the third person. That's the one complaint every task force officer, if you hear me say TFO,
Yeah,
every TFO has is the paperwork sucks.
yeah.
And they're right.
Well, yeah, but it was funny. Like, so the actual full-time agents would always delegate it out. Hey, if you guys want to take this and keep it stateside, we're good.
Yeah,
And
buddy.
and I would always be like, I'm on to you.
Yeah, because then all I got to do is a cover report. I just take your reports and steal them.
Exactly.
It's funny. Let's see. You already talked about the size of your department, your academy stories. Now, why did you decide to switch over from Middlesex Borough up to Howell Township?
Yeah. So size, real simple size and ability to run highways, interstate, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do interdiction. I knew that it was in my blood, and you know that once you get that curse, you can't get it out. And so that's what I did. And I was proud, right? I had the opportunity. I built the town, the municipality. That whole area is really the first time ever that we had. I built a criminal suppression unit that we primarily just focused on drugs, guns, and cash. And we did it. We did our thing. We had tri-state notoriety.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's where you're still there today.
Yes, sir. The window's closing, but yeah,
You're not that old, are you?
ain't about old. It's just when it's time.
Yes, you do.
When it comes to just some of the other caveats and niceties, that it just you start scratching your head. So for us in this area, you just wish that some people would just take their common sense pill every day. Maybe things would be a little bit easier. Just let us do our job. There's so many good men and women that just want to do their job. So if people would just get out of the way and let us do it, I think that you see a great result.
Yeah, do-gooders are not doing good.
No.
It's geez, it's amazing. And I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine. So I was a uniform cop from '75 to '81, then a railroad cop for 6 years, and then DEA for 26. I can't imagine being a uniform cop today with the anti-police sentiment, the defund the police,
Right.
all the stupid things that are going out there. I
We're
mean,
for, I got to tell you though, Steve. We're fortunate where I'm at. You saw Monmouth County. We're very supported. My heart goes out to the John Mattingly's.
yeah,
The Sean Larkins. I know you know him.
yeah,
Where some of the areas like where those cats worked. And I meet these men and women. I've been to 46 states, throughout the country doing my thing, and some of the men and women I meet, I say that to. I say, I don't know how it is you do what you do.
Yep.
I always have a reverence, right? I told you, I felt like a goofball the first time I talked to you. I'm like, what the hell am I going to say to this guy? So I'm old fashioned that way. And I respect the people who, and I don't say came before me in terms of years on or stuff like that. I just know a man or a woman when I meet them that I say, okay, that's a him, that's a her. They did their thing. And I openly say, man, I've got a pimple of exposure to that type of sentiment compared to what some of these guys and girls deal with on the daily.
I'm with you. And God bless them all. As a Christian, I believe that God gives us all talents.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do what policemen do.
No,
And
no.
police women, you're included in that too. I'm certainly
Yeah.
don't mean to slight you at all.
Yeah.
But whatever it is you do, we might not be able to do. So it's
Right.
not a competition at all. It's
No, no,
just we
no.
all have God given talents.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I look at the things that we did back in the day, and people ask me how you survived. I was a lot younger, and you had like a don't give a shit attitude. That helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Could I do it today? Probably not. I mean,
Yeah.
physically, probably not, but
I
I
get it.
don't think the desire is there to do it anymore
I get
either.
it. I get it.
Yeah. I guess priorities change as we get older, right?
Yeah, sure.
Now, does your academy from your first department that qualifies you for the second department?
Yes, sir.
And you guys have in-state post police officer standards test?
Now we do. That just came. That's a new thing. Actually, 2024 is when it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does Monmouth County Dispatch, do they control y'all's radios?
Not us, because we're the largest department in the county, so we have our own, but they control several. Like what you saw, their facilities control several. That's like the hub.
I'm not kidding. I hate to bring it up again, but that was the most advanced police center.
Yeah.
Their communications and their camera systems. And
Yeah, he doesn't play. That's Sheriff Sean Golden. He doesn't play. When that guy wants to accomplish something, or he wants to get the logistics, the resources, and the ability and the technology to do it, there's no stopping that man.
I tell you what, he's a man I'd work for. He took the time to give us a walking tour through their whole compound, showing
Yeah.
us their command centers, their
Yep.
tactical vehicles, their
Yep.
helicopters, their
Yep.
communication centers. Just, I mean, that's like something you see out of a movie.
Yep.
It was fabulous.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I got to quit talking about him because we're here to talk about you. So you talked about narcotics. Was your second department large enough for you to be a full-time narcotics investigator?
They had it, but it wasn't. And I say this with humility. It just wasn't what I thought we should have. As far as like we weren't putting enough emphasis. Knowing that, I looked at the area. I said, "Man, you talk about a perfect area. You got highways, you got interstate. We didn't have like the inner city areas where you're going to have trap houses and whatnot, but storage for sure. So we had everything right under our fingertips, and we're a major thoroughfare in between source cities. So I was like, this is a great spot that we could set up shop and really do something about it and start doing some good time. Not only just hits, but picking some good targets off the highway. So we had dogs, we had everything that we needed to do it, and we did it.
And if you would, for our listeners that don't know where Howell Township is, can you describe your distance between Philly, New York?
So yeah, exactly. Those are all those places. We're literally in between. We're perfectly in between. So equal distance to get to New York City than it is to Philadelphia. And you talk about Howell itself. If you look at a map of New Jersey, right in the middle, there's Interstate 195. It kind of cuts the state in half, and 195 runs for literally over 10 miles right through Howell Township. So that's what I mean when you talk about having a major thoroughfare and the ability to do it. We had that. So yeah.
Did you work undercover? Did you work interdiction, or did you do all of it?
All of it. So everything from running CIs to doing our own hits to doing co-ops with local, county, state, feds. A lot of work with the DA, a lot of work with the FBI, customs, Secret Service. So we branched out to everything. If you were doing counterfeit money compared to cocaine drops, whatever it is that we could do, we did.
I love it.
Yeah.
You get to do something different just about every day.
Man, love it. Love it. Once you get that bug, you can forget it.
Are you guys seeing a lot of fentanyl up there?
Now, yeah. So when we were really at the height of what we were doing, probably now going back 10 years or so, 8-10 years time frame, it was all heroin. Fentanyl was very rare. Fentanyl would just be our overdose deaths, but very rare. Now it's totally shifted where the fentanyl was the presumable compound that you're going to see in powder, but crack is back. So you saw the declination of crack, and now it's like almost everywhere. I have my opinions on that as to why, but now for the first time in my career in prevalence, we're seeing meth. Meth was a thing that the biker gangs were effing with. We never had to really, very few and far between we would deal with meth. Now it's here.
Bikers and truckers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I try to stay in touch with DEA, some of the folks up in headquarters, find out what the drug trends are and how things are
Yeah.
changing. And it was, I don't know, a couple years ago, I was talking to somebody and I said, "So has meth slowed down?" Like, no, it's making a major comeback.
Yeah.
And it seems like it always starts on the West Coast, it
Yep.
works its way east.
Yep.
I've just never understood the attraction to these illegal synthetic narcotics. There's nothing helpful. There's nothing
Nope.
healthy about any of them.
Nope.
Synthetic, for our listeners, that's all that means is man-made. That means you're taking a bunch of nasty chemicals and coming up
Chemicals.
with some pill or something, or meth. And if you don't know this about meth, when you finish the cook, there's toxic chemicals that have to be
Disposed
taken
of.
care of. Yeah.
Yep.
And the cookers, all they do is pour it in the ground, which
That's
poisons
it.
the ground.
Yep.
Now you got an EPA issue.
Yes, you do.
It's drugs 101. Then you come to Game of Crimes and you learn something every time.
Love it.
What they usually learn is how big an idiot I am, but I know it and I'm good with it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. So you moved on up through the ranks.
Yeah.
You were a detective, and then you became a sergeant. And had to go back to patrol. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Was that a good thing?
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, I was doing the full time. I run in narcotics as a detective, but going back to the road, I had that ability. I was a young supervisor, but I was able to then have that influence, and that became my new drug of choice. Right, I fell in love with having influence on other people. So, and then all I did was I just started to be persistent and annoying. That's what I'm known for. So then I started poking the bear. Hey, we're not doing enough interdiction from patrol. Why aren't we doing more about this? More, more, more. All right, big mouth, why don't you do something about it? All right, no problem. So from patrol, we'd run in and get out of the monkey suit and put a jacket on and then do a rip right out of patrol. And they're like, this guy's out of his mind. So I
Well,
annoyed them enough until I got my own unit. That's really the truth of it.
well, they throw the challenge down.
That's it.
Challenge accepted.
I'll put asses in the seats. Let's do it.
Yep, I love it.
Yeah,
And that's the kind of person you want to work for.
let's go.
Somebody's not afraid to take on a challenge.
Hell no.
That's what you've probably heard the old saying: "You find a job that you like, you'll never work a day in your life."
That's a fact.
You and I found that job.
Yeah, that's it.
That's so. When I left DEA or left law enforcement, I thought, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" But things kind of worked out in the long run.
Yeah,
The good Lord opens doors for you.
yeah.
Uh, did you always have aspirations of moving up through the ranks?
No, my then wife, when I came home and told her I was going to go for the sergeant's test, she thought I was crazy because I always talked about doing drugs. That's all I wanted to do. I said, she was like, that's what you want. And I said, yeah. And I say this it doesn't sound like I'm being respectful, but I am. It's just my whole thing is I fell in love with a Patton quote: lead me, follow me, or just get out of my way. So
Yep.
if I was with the person that I looked at and says, I would have no problem sitting back and being the one to be led, but that was all I was looking for. I just wanted somebody to take chances, think outside the box, never break rules, never break laws. I didn't say that, but let's just be innovative. So
Right.
when I never saw that innovation, I said, well, all right, you could either be the squeaky wheel or you could be part of the solution. So that's what I tried to be.
Your next thing is you take the lieutenant's test, and you mentioned that you started a crime suppression unit.
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
So, like I said, we weren't doing a lot. We were seeing the overdoses were at the time. We're going through the roof. We were seeing both, not just overdoses, but then we were seeing businesses being exploited. Thefts, everything, burglaries. It was just crime was going up at a rapid pace. So I just said we got to do
Mhm.
something about it. So I begged and pleaded. I put together a business plan, really, that I solicited to the chief and then to the governing body. I said, if we do a dedicated unit and we put the right pieces of the puzzle together, you talk about taking a chance. I said, I'm going to guarantee you results. And I was proud. I have to say, it doesn't sound like I'm being humble, but it's not because of me. It was because of the team I put together. But we had it to a point where you'd be on the other end of a phone and you'd hear a major dealer or distributor of weapons, narcotics, money launderer that would say, no, 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 I'm not coming there. I'll do it in the next town. I'll
Mhm.
meet you over here at this hotel. I'll meet you at this mall. But no, 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 I'm not going there. So you knew, like, and again, I give credit to the team I put together that we just had the right pieces to the puzzle and it worked well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that's you got to get the people that are dedicated to the mission, and
Yeah.
loyalty means a lot.
Hell yeah.
That's the thing there. So then you got to become a captain. And is there a rank above a captain before you get to chief?
No, so some departments will have deputy chiefs and whatnot, but we particularly don't. It's just chief is above me. I'm
Hmm.
the senior captain in the organization.
Nice, nice. You think you might be chief someday?
I had my run at that in 2022, and I guess it wasn't in the cards. I think a lot of people had me coined that I was the front runner, but I think as we can all attest, I think sometimes politics and
Hmm.
different things play out. And if you would have caught me in 2022 and asked me that same question, I think I'd have a different perspective than I have now. I've learned a lot. I've taken a lot, and I've internalized as to maybe God had a different plan for me. I mean, I see the things that have happened since. Unfortunately, though, life handed me a lot. That year was very challenging. Separated from my wife. It was just, you
Hmm.
seem like when it rains, it pours. But like I said, I look back and I have to take every failure and every adversity I've experienced, and I kind of feel like what that's added to my tool chest.
Yeah, I understand completely. So we've been going a little while here. What I'd like to do is let's call an end to today's interview because I would like to bring Tom back. He's got so much more to tell us, things that I want to know about. I know you guys want to hear about. Tom, can I bring you back at another time and we do a second episode?
I'd be honored.
Brother, we'll set it up after we finish this thing. So everybody, well, we'll post these out back to back on a Monday and a Tuesday. So this is the end of today's episode. Come on back tomorrow. Hear episode 2 here with Tom Rizzo. We might ask him about his relationship with the Sopranos because I've seen him on TV, and if it's on TV, it's true. And that's a joke. But look forward to you folks coming back tomorrow. You know why you want to come back because you're here to play the biggest, baddest, most dangerous game of all, and that's the game of crimes. God bless. We'll see y'all tomorrow.